Hello YouTube, welcome to Australia. And in typical Aussie speak, g'day, how you going? Right, so in this video series, I'll try to explain how you could convert your overseas drive license into an Australian one. More specifically, the Victorian license, because that's what I have been working on. So the way I've decided to structure this is I'll split this up into 2 or 3 episodes because it is a long process and sometimes a little frustrating because you already know that you are a good driver, but in spite of the fact you do have to go through all these processes before you can get your license converted to a Victorian driving license. So the law says that in Victoria you can actually be driving on your overseas license for the first 6 months. That is, whenever, whether you be that when you received your permanent residency or when you made your first entry into Australia, whichever is earlier. So you're good for the first 6 months. You actually need to get your Victorian driving license within the 6-month period. Now, this is what the rule says, but you do have a lot of limitations if you do not have an Australian driving license, because in order for it to be acting as an ID proof, or for a lot of jobs, they do require you to have an Australian driving license. That is regardless of the fact that whether your job does involve the actual driving component of the job or not, you will still need to have an Australian driving license. So this is definitely one of those hygiene factors that you need to get out of the way, and that'll definitely help you get settled into the Australian system. So first step to this whole journey, I would like to call it, would be to get your overseas driving license verified by VicRoads. VicRoads is the government body that will be that actually takes care of the licensing, your vehicle registrations, the safety on the roads and all that. So VicRoads is going to be, you'll definitely make a lot of visits to the VicRoads customer service center during this entire journey. So first step would be to get your overseas license verified. Right, let's head over to the Victoria state. That's the VicRoads website. Right, now in this video series, I will be specifically talking about how I got my Indian driving license converted to the Victoria state one. Now, I believe the process would be relatively similar for whichever state that would be in Australia, and for depending on which country you're from, the process will be slightly different. Now, in case of VicRoads, there are a set of countries that are from a recognized list and another set which is from a non-recognized list. Now, for people from the recognized list of countries, they have it a lot easier. They can just get their overseas license converted and boom, it's done. But for the less fortunate ones like us, we have to go through a lot of steps and processes before you can actually get this license converted. So here's the first step. I want to convert my overseas license. Okay, now this is what I was talking about. Now, if your license is not from a recognized country, then you have to book an appointment, book a license verification appointment before you go ahead with any other steps. Okay, now very quickly, these are the 3 steps that you will need to go through and pass before you get eligible for a Victorian license. Right, now this is the list of recognized countries. Now, if you happen to be from one of these countries, then you are pretty much sorted. You don't need to watch the rest of my video. Just fix up an appointment and walk into the VicRoads center to get your license converted. But if you're not from among these countries, then here goes. This will be a first step. You'll have to call up the customer service center at this number 131171 and fix a license verification appointment. Now, you will get to choose the customer service center which is nearest to you. The customer service agent will help you with this if you're not familiar with where would be the VicRoads center nearest to your address. So firstly, they will take down all your details like name, date of birth, address, and all that, and then they'll suggest the closest VicRoads center. Now you do get to choose your convenient date and time for the appointment, depending on availability, of course. And then you need to make sure that you show up on time at the service center. Now, when you go over for your license verification appointment, you obviously need to carry your overseas driving license. But in addition to that, you need to provide your evidence of identity. Okay, now what would be the evidence of identity? Right, types of identity documents. Okay, now what identity documents do I need? Right, so this is what you will need to be carrying. You'll have to carry one category A document, one category B document, and in my case, I also needed to provide an additional evidence because for me, the category A and category B document did not show my local address. Okay, now let's look at all these in detail. Category A document. Now, obviously, if you're trying to get your Australian driving license, you'll not be having this, or it's highly unlikely that you'll have any of these if you are, a recently arrived person like me. This is obviously something you will not be having all these. Now, what I had submitted was my overseas passport. Okay. So that got me sorted for the category A document, right? You can actually go through all this list if you think you can, you'll have a better document which does have your local address, then I would suggest you go with that. But in my case, I did not have any other document to submit, so that's why I went with my overseas passport. Now, moving on to the category B. In this case, I had submitted my Medicare card for the category B. Now, again, the Medicare card does not have your local Victorian address on the card. So which is why I had to, provide some other ID, some other document which proved my local Victorian address. If you think you have any other of these documents, then yeah, you can go ahead with those, because that means you'll then have to just submit two documents to get you sorted. But if you're like me and you do not have a local tenancy document or any utility bill in your name, then you'll have to produce something which will prove your Victorian address. Any letter from Medicare or Centrelink, or a bank account statement which shows your address. Now, once you have one category A document, one category B document, and then some documents proving your Victorian address, then you're good to go. Right? Now, the next step would be to fill up the license or learner permit application. Now, once you have booked an appointment for your license verification, you will receive a text message on your registered mobile number with a link to download this application form. Now, even if you do not receive this text message, you can easily download this application form from the VicRoads website. Okay, now once you've downloaded the form, you need to fill up all these basic details your personal details, your health record, and your license or learner permit record, whether you've been a disciplined driver back in your country, and your license details like date of issue, expiry, the country and the state where it was issued, and all that. Okay, now yeah, on this section, just make sure that you not sign the form when you do fill it up, because it needs to be signed in the presence of an authorized officer. So just make sure you do fill up the form, but do not put your signature in there. Right now, yeah, coming back to the documentation now. If unfortunately you're unable to provide any evidence of your Victorian residence, you do not have any documentary proofs. So here is a workaround that VicRoads provides you in this situation. You can actually provide a reference. Now this referee needs to have a Victorian license and should have known you for at least 12 months. So if you're able to find a reference for yourself, then you are again good to go. Now this person will have to put in their the license details and sign the form on behalf of you, and that will get you sorted, right? So yeah, that's all. That's about how you need to fill this form. The rest of it is for office use. So yeah, so make sure that you have filled the license application form. You carry your overseas driving license, and then you have one category A document, one category B document, and you prove your Victorian residency address proof in some way. It could either be from your documentary proof or through a reference, right? So that's it. There's your first step on your overseas license conversion. Now, I had a very pleasant experience on my license verification appointment at VicRoads. I had scheduled myself at the Exhibition Street in Melbourne CBD. Uh, the agent was a very friendly person, and in spite of the fact that I did not carry my bank statement, he was cool with me showing the bank statement on my mobile phone. So yeah, that was I had a very pleasant experience, and I hope you are able to get your license verification sorted as well. So good luck with that, and more details in the next few videos that I'll be releasing shortly. All right, thank you so much for watching, and good luck on getting your license converted. Until next time, see ya. Bye.